Peace and blessings. This is Mindbender, and you're now tuning in to this thing called life. Yeah.
Hello. This is your girl, Kee. I'm Indy.
Kee Dee. I'm Kee.
I'm D. And it's been one of those backwards kind of days. So
truly.
So, I'm sorry, for not letting you say your own name. My apologies. But welcome everyone. We are so excited. I know you all probably got tired of us posting, but you all just don't understand the importance and the impact of this show and this guest, who will be talking to us about loving yourself, to be honest with yourself, which is one of the hardest things in the world to do, is to be honest with the man or the woman in the mirror.
In your skin.
Yeah. It is. So let us begin by first presenting our esteemed guest, Miss Melissa Ellis. And I want to allow you the opportunity to introduce yourself to us all, please, ma'am.
Absolutely not exactly sure what to say. I'm kind of a jack of all trades. My name is Melissa Ellis. I am 49 years old, and I say that because I decided to take this journey a little later in life than some people. So I wanted to put that out there up front. I'm a poet. I'm a yarn worker. I crochet. I am a crystal lover. I'm a certified crystal healer. Like, I've got all kinds of things going on, but all of them were kind of put on the back burner for this journey.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
So that right there is a whole show within itself.
Listen, because we can get her and Sugar on here to talk about crystals.
No, I'm talking about as far as putting everything on the back burner to do what you need to do for yourself. That's yes, putting all of that stuff you love to the cut, or that you enjoy to the cut, just to focus on what you need to focus on. Now, for those of you who do not know this amazing woman, because I know some people, she's probably shared or sharing the live feed or what have you. But for those of you that don't know, I have been friends with her for a while on Facebook. We have never met face to face, to my knowledge.
So hard to believe.
But I'm like, not that I can recall, but I have been watching her phenomenal, fantabulous authenticity.
That part.
Oh my goodness. It's like, it's so rare to find individuals that will be authentically true to who they are. And I want to say thank you for being authentically you first.
Absolutely.
But two, for being willing to share your story when it comes down to this bariatric bariatric bypass business. That's the hashtag.
That's how she puts it. Yes.
That's the poet in me. The poet in me needed that same sound throughout, and my mind just went blank. I can't remember exactly what that's called. But yeah, that was the poet in me. It's actually called gastric bypass surgery. There you go. Where did my brain go? But it's called gastric bypass surgery. And I just went with bypass, bariatric bypass business because it sounded cute.
It does.
Made a better hashtag. It made a better hashtag.
Right. And it also makes it, it doesn't just limit you to the surgery itself. It helps to surround everything that goes along with that journey.
Right.
And let's start at the beginning of the journey, because, many people have seen, the different posts with the different images that, have shared, during your journey. And I want you to kind of let them know, one, what helped you get to the place that you even were open to doing this for yourself? Or, was it health? Was it, pressure from individuals, or, jobs, or just whatever,
I
So
got you. And
help us,
let me
walk us through your
apologize for
journey.
my Will do. Let me apologize first for my weird movement. I was actually trying to share the live stream to my Facebook and couldn't get to it. So I'll have to share it once the live stream is over. So I apologize for that.
Say what, I'm gonna see if I can share it to
To my
your,
page. That would be
yeah,
awesome.
I'll see
That
if
would
I
be
can
awesome.
do that. But go ahead
But
and
while you're
share
doing that, yeah.
your
So
journey
my
with it.
journey actually came about because of health. There are certainly plenty of women who have the surgery simply for the purpose of losing weight, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That simply
Mm-hmm.
wasn't my reason. I was actually one of those people who thought I would never, ever, ever have such a surgery, because it just wasn't something I felt was for me. But about 2.5 years ago, I started getting extremely sick every time I tried to eat anything. I would throw everything back up. I would wake up in the middle of the night with really bad pain. It just felt like a knot was sitting in the top of my stomach. So I
Mm.
couldn't keep anything down. And I waited, because I'm stubborn. I waited about 6 months before I even went to the doctor. And then, of course, they started scaring the bejesus out of me, because they sent me for all these different tests. Sounds like her? Okay, well, we gonna work on that because
I refuse to look
I
at
wasted a lot of
my
time being
head
scared.
over my head. Look up.
Yeah, I did. I wasted a lot of time being scared. But they scared me even more when I went. They started saying things like, possible stomach cancer, and couldn't figure out what it was. So I had every kind of test you can imagine. And thankfully, it turned out not to be cancer or anything as serious. But what it was I had a hiatal hernia, which was
Mm.
causing acid reflux, or what they call GERD, so badly that my esophagus was starting to show signs of erosion. So,
Wow.
as a poet and somebody who loves to talk, I love to talk. Any threat to my throat was really, really scary for me. Aside from all the pain and the vomiting and the not being able to sleep, that was the thing that really scared me the most. So they sent me to a specialist who said, we can remove the hernia and fix the GERD, but at the weight you are, it's just going to come back. Because the
Mm.
hernia, which a lot of people may not understand, is a hernia is when your body mass starts to squeeze. And this isn't every hernia, but in my case, this was the case. It was squeezing my stomach up through my diaphragm muscles. So my stomach was getting pinched, which is why stuff was coming back up. And yeah. So they said we can get rid of that, but the weight is just going to do it again. It's going to just crush it again until it comes back. So we can fix it, but in a few years, you're more than likely going to go through this again. So the only real option was to battle the weight. And I had tried battling the weight. At the time of surgery, I was 48. So I had battled my weight my whole life. That's just something I've always dealt with. Ever since I think I was like 10 or 11 is when I started really showing weight. So they said, you can try to do it on your own, or we recommend bariatric surgery, gastric bypass. I wanted the sleeve, which is a different process. But the sleeve was not known to help with acid reflux. It was actually known to make acid reflux worse in some cases. So that wasn't an option for me. Gastric bypass, which is the surgery where they actually remove a part or reroute part of your intestines. So we redid my insides. They cut my stomach down to about the size of an egg, if that, and rerouted my intestines completely. So I didn't want the surgery. I mean, I'll be honest. It was scary. It wasn't something I wanted to do, but I certainly didn't want to go through the pain and discomfort discomfort and everything I had been going through for I think it was about 18 months by the time I went to the bariatric specialist. So in January of last year, 2019, I began seeing the bariatric specialist. I had to go through a lot of the same tests again because the purpose of that was to show the insurance company that I was doing everything I could possibly do to lose weight and it wasn't successful, or at least not successful enough to solve my issues. So starting in January, my doctors put me on a very strict diet, and I had to follow that diet and visit that doctor once a month. And if at any time during that process I gained weight, it put me in jeopardy of not having surgery. So following that plan, which I'm more than willing to share with people, I don't think it's anything they hide. It's on the website. If anybody wants to know the plan in detail, I'm more than happy to share some of that information with you. It really was kind of like going on a keto or low carb diet where I had to cut out a lot of things from my diet, mostly carbs that I could not have. So I did that on my own. I lost about 45 pounds in 6 to 7 months, and then they approved me for surgery. So in September of 2019.
Let's keep the timeline. Let's keep the timeline.
Okay.
So in the very beginning, what was your starting weight?
My starting weight was 379 pounds in January of 2019. 379.
Okay. Okay, so 379 starting at.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and then when I went for surgery,
45 to get them to qualify you for surgery.
Exactly. And I didn't have a set number I had to lose. I just had to show consistent loss and at least no gains. That was the main thing. I just couldn't keep gaining. But I was lucky enough to lose I think it was like 44 pounds. On the day of surgery, I weighed in and I was 344 pounds. So that was the weight on the day of surgery, which was September 26, 2019. So a year ago.
Yay, a whole year.
Yeah, it's been a whole year.
So what was it like actually once you actually had the procedure done post-op? What has your journey been like?
I will not mislead anybody. The first probably 2 weeks after surgery, I kept saying this was a mistake. I shouldn't have done this. This was crazy because I couldn't eat. I was nauseous all the time. I just did not feel well. And I made the mistake, which I know many women do. And it's the one piece of advice I give anybody who asks me now not to do. But I was so weight focused. I was literally trying to weigh myself 2 or 3 days after surgery. Like, what did I think I was going to see? I thought I was going to step on the scale and it was just going to be 25 pounds gone, but it didn't work like that at all. So when I was on we just think it's just going to fall right off. That doesn't work.
They go through and pull the weight off.
Not at all.
When they pull, so they're basically for real, just cutting off part of the storage area in your stomach, and you still have to do all the work.
That's exactly right. And I think I was one of those people, and I think a lot of people think, oh, you just have this surgery and the weight just starts falling off, and that just isn't true. I was actually a very slow loser in the beginning. With gastric bypass, you're expected to lose a lot more weight than you do with the sleeve. Simply because you've cut your stomach off, you've rerouted everything, you just can't eat a lot. It's a major surgery. So I really did think it was just going to start falling off, and it didn't. I think the first time I went to the doctor, which was 2 weeks after I had lost like 3 or 4 pounds. Then in my 1 month after, I just knew I had dropped like 35 pounds because I felt so light and everything felt so good, and I had lost like 11 or 12. So it was a very slow process for me. Now, overall, I am currently at, I want to say about 235 right now. So I've lost like 110 pounds. Thank you. I've lost about 110 from the day of surgery, but I've lost 140 plus altogether from that 379. And that took me over a year to do. So anybody thinking that, you're just going to have the surgery and wake up in a couple of months and be scared, it doesn't work like that. Once I realized that and I started paying attention to other women who had had the surgery and
It froze.
ice was so I just stopped weighing myself at home and I started weighing myself only at the doctor. So once a month was the only time I got to weigh myself. So that would be my biggest piece of advice to anyone that wants to have it, is do your research, be prepared of what to expect. And even if you're doing it to lose weight, don't make the focus weight. Make the focus about your health. Make the focus about your fitness routine. Make the focus about how you feel on the inside, which is why I'm glad that I'm getting the opportunity to do your show with this topic, because everybody always asks me about the physical because they can see it. Nobody asked me about the mental, which was the hardest and is still the hardest part. Not just the mental to be able to not eat certain things or the mental to stay committed to the journey, but I had a lot of internal work to do, which was all about that loving yourself. Like, why did I let myself get to 379 pounds knowing I was miserable? Why did I eat things when I wasn't hungry? Like, there's a lot of mental work that needs to go into the process. And to be honest, that wasn't a requirement for me to have surgery. I didn't have to go through the psychiatric part because mine was for health. When you go through it simply for weight loss, in most cases, the insurance company will require that you talk to a therapist. You have to have a mental evaluation done. A lot of people fake it to make it through the evaluation and still struggle. I just took it upon myself to do that work because I knew I had done a million other things before to lose weight and been successful, but always gained it back. And that, I believe, is because I hadn't done the necessary work inside, that self-love piece that we're talking about. I hadn't mastered. So that was my focus. And I think I'm making pretty good strides with it.
So, you about to say something?
So regardless of it being for health purposes as opposed to for weight loss purposes, because even in doing it for weight loss purposes, I mean, I would still think that would be health overall.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't then require you to have the mental support or I
didn't have to go through that. I didn't. I had to see a nutritionist to discuss the way I would have to eat once the surgery was done, because I eat totally different. But I did not have to see any kind of a mental thing. And I think it's because being that it was a health issue and not simply, and I don't want to use the word vanity because that's the word that I hear a lot of doctors and everybody use. But I agree with you, Kee, that it is, even when you're doing it just to lose weight, you're doing it because you want to feel better and be healthy. So I think you made a very, very good point in that they're both health journeys, regardless. I guess I could say mine was medical. Maybe that's a better way to say it. Instead of saying health, mine were medical issues. So this procedure was the same as if someone had, another kind of medical issue that required surgery. That's the way that the insurance company looked at it. I required surgery. Someone who's doing it to lose weight simply or only to lose weight, they don't necessarily have identifiable medical issues. So I had medical issues that they could say, this is the issue, surgery will resolve it this way. If you're just going in, for example, to have, let's say you want to have the sleeve to lose weight, there's no medical issue that just doing that, at least nothing that has been identified, that is causing you a problem. So that's the difference. And I didn't have to see one because mine was looked at as the same as if I had a hysterectomy, the same as if I had, any kind of major surgery to correct a medical problem. That's how I think that was the difference difference between the two. So I didn't have to see a therapist, and I don't. I actually want to. I'm in the process of looking for one.
Right.
But I've been doing a lot of just self work, just journaling and reading and sitting with myself on some days and be like, what are you like? There'll be days I just really want some chocolate, like really bad. And my doctor has taught me to say, do I need it or do I want it? So I'll sit and ask myself, what is it in this moment that makes you want that chocolate? Why? Now, I'm not saying I never eat chocolate, because I do, because I'm human. But it's rare. It's rare. I'm not supposed to. I'll be honest. I'm not supposed to, per my doctor. I'm not supposed to. I'm still supposed to be on the very rigid plan that they had me on back in January until we reach goal weight. Once you reach goal weight, then you can start incorporating things back into your diet in moderation. But goal weight for most doctors comes from the regular medical chart, the BMI weight chart, that has not been shown to include Black bodies.
Hold that thought.
So
Hold that thought.
absolutely.
Let's
Absolutely.
catch our comments.
She actually ended up answering the comments because, you know, they were saying good evening, but then the comment was it an elective surgery?
Mhm.
There you go.
And then
That's the word I was looking for.
Right, because you actually said that it was for medical reasons.
Right.
Wow. She said and they did not have a positive result. Okay. That's just it says she knows of a family member that had the surgery and that they did not have a positive result. So that's why she was asking.
Gotcha.
I think that comes back to, as you were saying, you know, you had to, and I guess, you know, I'm one of those people that was in the dark because I'm like, you know, I'm like how you said, you know, you have the surgery. One, I expect to wake up small. And two, I expect this to be, because you see so many people who have lost so much weight, you know, I guess you don't really think about the fact that
You got to put in work after the fact. But see,
because
a
if
lot
you
of
cut out my stomach, I'm going to think.
well, see, but a lot of people when they look at, and this is just because I have family members that have done it. A lot of people look at the fact that, okay, you had this surgery, but then they're looking at the fact that it's not lipo, because with lipo, you see those
You wake up
instant
smaller.
results.
You wake
You
up
see
smaller.
those instant results, and then you just basically go into a regimen of maintaining. Whereas with the bariatric bypass, you are doing they're doing the surgery, but you still have to put in that work to
And let
actually
me
lose and tone.
explain what that work is, because I don't want to give the impression that if I have surgery, I could still be 344 pounds, because that's not the case. You will lose weight. It's going to come off. The problem is it may not stay off, and you can gain it back, because although they cut your stomach, it stretches back out. So if you're one of those people who goes, if you're one of those people that just continues to eat, you will stretch your stomach back out again. And then you can eat as much as you used to eat. Now, when I first started, I could barely eat. If I could eat 3 bites of something, I was full. Now, that's not the case, because my body's gotten used to it. My stomach has stretched out some. So what they tell you is, in the first year, your job, which is one of the reasons they want you to stay on the plan, your job is to teach yourself how to eat. So I know that in the morning, breakfast for me is a cup of yogurt. That's it. Now, I could probably now eat more than that, but I don't need more than that. So I've taught myself that, okay, this yogurt is breakfast. I don't need the yogurt and an egg and some turkey bacon. And I don't need that. So I've taught myself.
Psychological.
Exactly.
Part of
That's
loving
exactly right.
Enough to do what you need
that's
to
right.
do
Right.
for
Because
yourself.
if you fall back into the same old habits, you'll either slow down your weight loss significantly or you'll gain it back. And that's what the doctors told me, especially now. They tell you that the first year is what they call the sweet spot or the honey pot. Because that first year, you probably will lose, even if you're not doing what you're supposed to do. You probably won't lose, as much if you're not doing everything you should, but you will lose. But after that first year to 18 months, you will start to gain it back if you're not doing the right things, because your body has adjusted and your body realizes that, oh, okay, so we had this done, but now we back to the chocolate and the cakes and the pies and all this food. So let's just go back. So there are lots of people who have surgery, gain the weight back, and now there are different ways that you can, what they call revise different surgeries, so you can kind of do it again. But I don't know who on God's green earth would willingly want to do that unless they had to. It's not a fun experience. Now, for me, even before I lost weight, I was always a workout kind of person. I love working out. I would go to the gym. I tried to run. I just liked working out. I just didn't like working out as a 379-pound person because it wasn't comfortable and it wasn't fun.
Let people know how tall you are.
I'm 5'2". I'm 5'2".
So you were 5'2".
Mm-hmm.
You were 379.
379. Yeah.
So your back and your knees were probably always on fire.
Screaming. My knees especially. That's always been my way though, is like whenever my knees start hurting, I know I'm doing too much. Like my weight has gotten out of control because I live on the second floor. So I have to climb 18 steps every day up and down. And when I start to feel it in my knees, I'm like, oh, okay, you tripping. And I was miserable. But it was also it was the mental stuff. I was embarrassed. I wouldn't take pictures. I didn't, even with events with my god kids, my son, like I just never, I wanted to go into a hole and stay there. And I want to be very clear that that's not every big woman's experience. That was mine.
So you were the girl that was, you're pretty for a big girl. You got a pretty face.
Yeah.
Gorgeous smile.
Yeah.
They like the booty and the boobs, but they
That's
weren't
exactly
trying
right.
to. Okay. So
the thing is, I'll say this though, I want to be very clear because I was always that person that, like, I never suffered for male attention, even at 379 pounds. Probably because I do have a big booty that my mama blessed me with, and that's all most men see. So that it wasn't so much like that, that it was more so for me. Just I was ashamed. I was really ashamed that I had let myself get to that size. And again, I'm very clear that I know there are plenty of big women who love themselves and celebrate themselves. And I wish I had that confidence at that size, but I didn't. I'm just being honest. And this is just my journey. I wasn't happy. I wasn't, and I put on the face though. If you ask anybody on my Facebook page, anything else, most people, when I tell them even my best friend of 30 years, when we had a conversation, I was telling her that my self-esteem was in the toilet. She was like, you? And I'm like, yeah, because I didn't show it. I got on poetry stages like it was nothing. I talked the smack with the rest of them. But at the end of the day, looking myself in the mirror was difficult.
So we've got a couple of comments. It was Miss Annette. And greetings, everyone. Beatrice, Annette, Carolyn Maxwell, Lily. We appreciate you all. And then, there's some other names that I can't see right now. But we want to address, it was Miss Annette that was talking about the family member. But Beatrice had actually made a comment after Miss Annette had asked about, was it an elective surgery, which you did cover, but she mentioned like elective surgery is any surgery that's scheduled in advance because it's not required to be done immediately as a life-saving measure, and then they continued their dialogue about that. But then Carolyn Maxwell just made a statement, say you hit a key point for Black women, especially if your height and weight structure is a very extreme. You come into 1 to 2 points from your BMI and you're over 60, it's very hard. And then Lily says,
It is. And
you know, I'm 5'1", 242, and it's starting to affect my walking now, and my lower back hurts a lot. Now, you were about to go into how this is different for us as Black women or Blacks in general, more so than you know, our counterparts. So if you would go ahead and elaborate on that a little bit for us.
Absolutely. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the weight chart that you see in the doctor's office. You can look it up online if you've never seen it. For my height, 5'2", I think the ideal weight for a woman my height and my age is somewhere around 130, 140 pounds. And I think I'm being generous.
They want you to look like a
no.
bobblehead, like Star Jones.
There's no consideration for the fact that we have natural curves, like that big booty my mama gave me, like these hips, like these thighs, like these boobs. That's not taken into consideration in the normal weight chart. So when I talked to my doctor, he looked at BMI, where they wanted my BMI to be, and he didn't set the goal weight. He mentioned a goal weight of 165 pounds. I don't think I ever been 165 pounds. Even in high school, at my smallest, I was 190. So that doesn't sound realistic to me, nor does it fit the body that I want to have. So thankfully, we were able to, because my doctor is very open and I can say just about anything, we discussed what the ideal body weight would be for me. And he allowed me to choose it for myself. Because I do feel like my hips and my curves are things I don't want to lose. Those are things I want to, I want to retain. They connect me to my mother. They connect me to my culture. They connect me to, everything that I've known growing up. I don't want to lose that completely. So I set my goal weight at 220 to 230, wherever I fall in that range. And he was okay with that. But I want Black women specifically to be aware of that when dealing with doctors, and to be aware of the fact that we have a more difficult time having our voices be heard in the medical community than any other demographic. So be prepared to speak up for yourself. Be prepared to set your standard and not let anybody do it for you, because it's very difficult in some cases. Not mine. I was very lucky. But it's difficult to get doctors to hear us as Black women when we put forth concerns like that. They just think we're being lazy, or we just want to be fat, or whatever. So, be aware of that and set a realistic goal. That was my main thing, was that the goal had to be realistic. And if you think I'm going to get down to 165 pounds, that does not seem realistic to me. So it makes it,
how
not
do
a
you
goal.
determine what a realistic goal really is, though?
I think it's certainly individualized. It's up to you, but I think it's also going to take into consideration, you have to think about your family structure. Do you have a bunch of skinny women in your family? Because if not, your genetics may not allow it. What is your weight like been your whole life? Like, were there periods where you were skinny and you just gained, or have you always been a thick chick? Like, I've always been a thick chick. So for me to expect to just be this stick now is not happening. Or at least to me, it doesn't feel realistic. I'm sure for some, that may be their goal. That may be what they go for. That may be what they achieve. For me, that's not realistic. So I think it's just being honest with yourself about what's possible, and not trying to fit into anybody else's definition of what you should look like. That's a tough thing in today's society, but it's something we have. It's part of that mental work that we have to do.
That was going to be my question. What was some of the mental work that you actually had to do? Because I know you always said that you were one of those that was like, I never do this, but then you opted to do it. And then you have those individuals who have the surgery and then they false flag, which is their right. That's their right to do so. As if they have put in all of this work to lose all of this weight, which in some, they have put in work, but they had a jump start that they, for whatever reason, are ashamed of.
Yes,
so
that's a
let's
big thing
talk
for me.
about one, how you got beyond your reservation to have the surgery, but then two, what gave you the courage and the strength and the wherewithal to say, you know what, I'm going to share my journey because somebody, just because I want, whether it's for personal accountability, whether it's for whatever your reason was, let's talk about how you got beyond that initial, I'm not doing this, to the fact that you are inspiring so many people with this journey.
Okay, I can certainly do that. Some of the work I had to do, for example, I'm one of those people that despite everybody saying we're not supposed to care what other people think, I do. That's just me. That's who I am. People's opinions matter to me. Now, everybody's opinions, nah, but some. There are some that matter to me, and some of them are even people I've never met. Collectively, Black women. What Black women think of me matters to me. That's just who I am as an individual. So I had to do the work to get through why that was and why I was willing to let my fear of what other people would think of me stop me from saving my own darn life. Because that's what it boiled down to. Because when they first told me I had to have the surgery, I was like, oh no, I ain't trying to do that. Because I was worried about what people would think of me. That's what it was. Like at the core of it all, that's what it was. I thought people would be like, that's a darn shame. She's so big, she can't even lose weight. She got to go cut up her body to get rid of weight. Like those were the thoughts playing in my head. Of what I thought people were going to say, and what I thought, even my own family, I was concerned about. Because I've always been the biggest one in my family. So I was really concerned about that. And I really had to sit down and figure that out. And it took, like, when I tell y'all it's root work, it's root work. Like when I say root, I'm talking about going back to the root of the problem. And it was something as crazy as, and this is going to be real personal, so I'm not going to dwell on it, but I want to be transparent. I was raised by my grandmother. I have 4 siblings who were raised by my mother, and I was the baby. So because I didn't grow up around them, I would only go visit them on weekends and things like that. I often felt out of place and unaccepted by them. They were just kids. They weren't doing anything that any other kid wouldn't do. But I was the nerdy kid that read, while they were the hip kids that knew how to dance and play hopscotch and do all these things that I didn't know how to do. So when the weekend came and I had to go home and be around them, I often felt like I had to fight for their approval. I had to fight to fit in as a member of the family. And I realized that that's something I was doing into adulthood. And not just with my siblings, but in life in general, was always wanting to just be accepted by people and be liked by people and be a people pleaser. That was one of my things. So when I was doing the work and I realized that, look, you either gonna have this surgery or you about to die. Like, you might not die today, you might not die tomorrow, but you're 379 pounds, boo. You got to do something. And I just had to come to grips with it. So I did talk about it to some people that I cared about, my sister and my best friends, and they were encouraging me to do what I needed to do. So I did. But that second part about why I chose to share, I promise you, I had no idea that I would get the love and the support that I got from my Facebook family. I did it because I didn't want to be a liar. I did it because I didn't want to have to hide the fact that I had had this surgery. Star Jones, you mentioned her earlier. I don't know how many people remember when she first had her surgery. She pretended that she was the exercise queen. She was doing segments on her TV show, like she was just working out all the time and changed up her diet. And yeah, she did those things. I've done those things. But let me tell y'all something. It's a whole lot easier to eat less when your stomach is the size of an egg. And if you got people out here thinking that you just stopped eating and just started doing all this great stuff without being honest about the fact that your stomach is smaller, you've got more energy, you feel better, you're losing weight, whether you really do all the right stuff or not in the beginning, you're going to lose some. I just feel like that's disingenuous and misleading. And I couldn't be that person. But it was selfishly that I couldn't be that person, not for other people, but I didn't want to have to lie and pretend and live in fear that somebody was going to find out and spill the beans. And that's
like
just,
I did
I
with
can't,
Star.
like they did with Star, and like I see happening all the time with celebrities and just everyday people. And I couldn't do it. So I'll never forget my very first post when I put out there that I was about to have it. I posted it and then I logged off and cried because I just knew I was going to get the kind of pushback that I probably would have given before this happened to me. You don't have to do that. You're beautiful the way you are. Just eat right and exercise. Like that's not the answer for everybody. It's the answer for a lot of people, but it's not the answer for everybody. So when I logged back on, I was very surprised that I got none of that. I mean, none of that. And I don't know if that's because as peace loving as I am, I can snap back a lot too, which I do on social media in a heartbeat. So I don't know if people knew not to come at me like that because I would snap back, or if they just didn't have those thoughts, or if they saw everybody else giving me love and decided not to rain on the parade. But for whatever reason, I didn't get it. And instead, what I got was a lot of women jumping in my inbox saying, I've been considering it. I want to do it. My doctor says I should. I'm scared. What do you think? And I was like, you know what? Let's do it together. So you may not be having the surgery, but you're going to go through this whole process with me. I'm going to share every last bit of it. And I've shared everything. I think the only thing I haven't shared is nude pictures, which y'all don't want to see. But I've shared, I've shared pretty much every bit of it. And I try to be very honest and share as much of the challenges as I did the glory. To me, the glory has just been coming in the last probably 5 to 6 months on the second end of it. In the beginning, it was a lot of fear. It was a lot of pain, discomfort, doubt, all of that. But now I'm starting to see the glory, which is the smaller weight, the smaller clothes. I've had about 7 sisters that I know of since my surgery who have had the surgery of either bypass or sleeve, who credit my transparency with helping them make the decision. And I'm so honored by that it almost brings me to tears, because it's proof that doing it for you and living your life your way can help people. There will be people who judge. There will be people who criticize. They ain't came to me, and I suggest they not. But they are so outnumbered by the others,
Here's a comment that may cause you to. You are beautiful and talented woman. I'm so thankful that she corrected that in the next comment, our paths crossed. I'm proud of you and your journey. You inspired me to get better with my health. Love you. # we be
sisters. That's my Lily right there. That's my Lily. Lily's a poet sister of mine who we met through poetry and met through poetry events. And I swear she's become like a sister to me. And I wrote a poem a few years back titled We Be Sisters. And she and I adopted that hashtag, and we use it just for each other. I don't use it with anybody else. But it's because Lily is the person that I can call and say, girl, and she'll be like, I feel you. So it honors me that, I know she struggled with weight. We both have. We both still are. If there's anything I can do to help her or any other woman, honestly, I'm right here because I know the journey. I've been fighting my weight my whole life, good and bad. And this is what worked for me. It may not work for everybody else. It may not be the path everybody takes. I'm in no way encouraging women to make this their choice. That's something only you can decide. I'm just saying that if you make it your choice, it's doable. It's okay to make it your choice and tell the whole world that you did. It's your life.
I have a question.
You done made me cry now, dang it.
I didn't do
know I'm a crybaby. See, I'm a crybaby. So y'all
allergies.
You sniffling.
It's allergies.
I'm a crybaby. So y'all, I am. I'm a crybaby. So just expect that.
Right. Don't feel bad. Me too. But I have a question, and it's basically just asking, you know, I know as a larger woman, you dealt with a lot of fat shaming and all of that kind of body shaming and stuff like that. Since you have transitioned to such a smaller size, you do have, as we've talked about, that figure 8. Mm-hmm. That's, you know, that true, you know, figure 8. You do have that, you know, and
she said her eyes are sweating.
And so has that cut down on that, or is it something that you still have to contend with quite a bit? Because one, you are such a short lady by stature.
Yeah. So I want to say that was part of the work I had to do. I swear I could talk about this one topic forever. One of the reasons that I believe that I allowed myself to gain the weight I did was to protect myself from male attention. I started getting male attention when I was 11 from grown men. And it was never the, oh, you're a pretty little girl, or as a grown woman, oh, you're a beautiful woman, or you have a beautiful mind, which I try to put on display as much as I can on social media. It was always, look at that ass. Where you get all that from? When you gonna let me hit that? Girl, when can, ooh, the things I would do, and worse, like vulgar. It was to the point as an adult where I would not go to a gas station if I saw men at the gas station. I'll never forget a few years ago, I was leaving a poetry event. I had worn a black dress that was very form-fitting because I was featuring that night. And when I was giving a male friend a ride home back to his hotel, we passed the 7-Eleven. Now, anybody who knows me knows I'm a Slurpee junkie, like love them, right? We don't have 7-Elevens in South Carolina. So I don't get them. I can only get them when I go home. This event happened to be in Baltimore. So we were driving past coming up on a 7-Eleven, and he said, let's stop and get you a Slurpee, shorty. And I looked and saw it was one of those stores where like a bunch of black men and some women, but where they hang out. So there was like a bunch of people hanging out in the parking lot. And I said, I can't get out of my car in this dress with this body around that crowd and do so peacefully. I'm going to catch it. And I wouldn't stop the car. And he was angry, but he understood. But that's been my life. Everything I do, I had to, and I always laugh because I know there are so many women that wish they had big booties and big thighs. And I'm telling you, I say this all the time in my poetry. It's not the pleasure you think it is all the time. At all.
Now I'm going to speak.
Yes.
Because I'm going to agree with you. Because this was always like, and I'm like, you need to go on and give me. And I'm just like, this is not
take it.
And I've seen the struggle.
Yeah, when you talk about the physical challenges, just very point blank. But then
clothes,
I hate getting clothes. Like a dress is like the absolute bane of my existence. I hate those. Like I need separates. I don't want one solid piece that don't fit right.
Mm-hmm.
But when you talk about being uncomfortable in those situations. So I guess I've been uncomfortable in those situations, but I guess, there and maybe part of our difference in our background. I was a fighter growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I think part of my thing then was because I was thick. I was little, I was thick, and like you talk about getting the attention from others.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But my response to that was always violence. And to listen to you talk, and when you talk about doing the self-work, I'm sitting up here now because of, you were talking about this whole procedure, and quiet as kept, I've been thinking about it in my own head. I've been like, well, maybe this is something I need to look at because I do have medical issues.
Gotcha.
Some of them that I can attribute that I believe that if I did not have the weight on me would not be as severe as they are.
I gotcha.
But in thinking about it, and you should talk about, having to do the work and having to do the internal work. I get those comments and all of that, but I've gotten to a point now where, it doesn't.
It's just like whatever.
It doesn't faze me, or I'll just be like, I done heard this all my life. Tell me something.
Tell me something new.
Mm-hmm. Come with something better. Come with something better, because I've heard all of that. And so when you talk about, the phone calls and the people coming at you inappropriately, like I'm trying to get ready to come on here today and cut some people out because I'm like, you already know you should never come at me like that ever, because that's that's just not who I am. So I understand, but I'm so glad that we're having this part of the conversation, because I never really thought about it as when she talked about not wanting to get out of the car. For me, I will sit in the car because it's like I have to put on my mental armor. I know these people are going to say something. I know somebody's going to come out their mouth. Somebody's going to say something. Or somebody's going to look at me crazy, or they're going to stare. And I know that if I don't have this mental shield up, if I don't have this mental armor up, if I'm not mentally prepared, it's going to be an issue. It's going to be a situation. It's going to cause me to clap back. And if I don't clap back, then it's going to cause me to be, I'll be real pent up and I'll,
And that was me. That's me.
Anxiety, but I'm going to be ready to fight.
See, I'm not I wasn't like the fighter. You would have to really do something egregious for me to clap back. Like I was in a grocery store when my son was 10. I'll never forget it. And we're in the aisle together. We're in a freezer case. So there's no denying that this little 10-year-old boy is with me. And this man walks by and says, using the D word and the F word about what he would want to do with me. Damn, I'd like to F you in front of my 10-year-old son. And I lost it. And I went off and I cursed him and I threatened him the whole nine. That's it. It's egregious stuff like that. I was in a parking lot one day, just getting my nails done, walking from the nail salon to my car. And this dude was just making all these comments about my behind and it's too much. And girl, you probably don't even know what to do with all that. I need to teach you what to do. That kind of stuff. I snapped. But just the general, damn, Ma, where you get all that at? Like, I, for some reason, and I don't know, like maybe it is attributed to my background, but I internalized that stuff. And for me, it made me feel ashamed, or like, this what you get for being big, or you shouldn't, I don't know. I kind of just, I turned it inward. I allowed it to destroy my self-esteem instead of me. I wish I were violent, Key. I ain't gonna lie. I wish I could be that chick. I'm getting there. I'm getting there now.
Okay, but and you we can laugh, we can joke about that, and you can say that you're getting there now. But I'm gonna tell you that it's not. And the reason that it's not is because just like this weight loss journey, and Dee has been watching your weight loss journey. You never know who is watching. I found that out the hard way, because with my daughter, I love my baby girl, and this has been me and my baby girl, and she's turning out to be shaped like a mama. But, she also has a very, very strong personality, and she is
Gotcha.
truly the princess of the clapback. But I've seen her visceral reaction to somebody saying something to me. I've seen her go into combat mode over somebody saying something to
Say
me.
something to you.
And then that's when I was like, wait a minute, hold on, let me
Yeah.
have to try to start pulling that back, because I don't want her out here trying to combat everybody.
Yeah.
You want her to know the difference between, you know, just because someone says something, okay, it's a not every comment is
Deserves
a disrespect.
Yeah.
You know, because there are some, because I have a really, really dear friend of mine, and he is what, you know, he has the bodybuilder body that so many people, you know, love and all that kind of stuff. But his personal preference for his mate is a thicker female. That is his personal, you know, and he naturally, you know, because of how he's built, he has all of the skinny minis and the, you know, the curvaceous, you know, but
fit chicks, yeah.
But his personal preference, even when we were young, and this is not something that developed after he got older and got the physique, he has always been privy to and he'll be like, man, Meech, because see, you know, people that know me, they'll call me Meecha, you know, from my younger years. They're like, man, Meech, man, she is so fine. And I was like, yeah, she is beautiful. Nah, I ain't say she was beautiful, man. I said she was fine. You know,
I love it.
You know, and I was, but see, I guess I wasn't putting enough emphasis on
the fine.
Fine for him.
All of it.
Right.
All of it.
Right. I guess I wasn't putting enough emphasis. So, you know, now that you've lost a lot of the weight and you are steadily, you know, continuing to tone, because the hips and the butt, they're genetic. They're not going anywhere.
They're not going nowhere.
You know, that's just, like you said, a part of who you are. But that mental portion that we're talking about, how do you know, since you know that's not going anywhere, how do you deal with knowing that all of that is going to continue, even though you dropped a whole human in weight?
Yes, you have. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. I think it comes, that's where a lot of the self-esteem and confidence comes in now, because I don't internalize it anymore. Now I can see it as them being idiots versus something that I should feel like, you know, I guess, you know, I'll never forget when a little while back, I had a meltdown in my car because I had actually posted my first weight loss photo and the booty was real big still. And some guy came in there in my inbox and was like, just what he wanted to do to me. And I don't even know the guy, like just some random. And I hit my friend up and he was like, that ain't about you though. He was like, that's about him. Like you posting that picture, you didn't do anything wrong. And I realized that, like, that's the difference now, is that because I've done the work, now I don't internalize it at all. And I think where I am now, Key, is I'm not visceral with the reaction, but I know where to draw lines too. I know who not to respond to. I mean, most of the stuff I get now, because it's a pandemic, so I don't go nowhere. Most of the stuff I get now is online. When I post pictures, you know, they'll hop in my inbox with some foolishness. You know, if you want to send me nudes, I'm here. Did I send you nudes ever? Who are you? I don't even know your name.
Look, don't even know who you are.
Don't even know. Screenshot a couple of them and post them. I bet you that'll deter everybody else.
I actually posted the other day that I was going to start doing that because these people have lost their minds. Like I posted a picture and a dude I barely know hit me up and was like, but you losing that booty though. And I said, but you're not getting it whether I lose it or not. So what does it matter to you? Like, you know, stupid stuff like that is what I'm dealing with mostly now. But I'm to the point now where I'm not violent per se, but I'm standing up for myself. I'm not, I don't tolerate it. I used to be the kind of person that was just like, oh, they're being men, but no, they're being idiots. And I'm not afraid to say it. Mm-hmm.
And you know what?
And now
That's
I'm
a
not
beautiful
afraid to
thing.
say it.
And when you talk about the growth and you talk about doing the work,
Yes.
because you know, I used to tell you, I'd be like,
Yes, the
oh,
work.
this one's in my inbox and this one is this. We don't have them issues anymore. I can post whatever I want to on my page.
Yeah.
And as far as folks coming at me in that way, first of all, I think they also realize that this one is always watching. So they don't come at me like that. And if you want to hop in my inbox,
Right.
booth, believe me, if I don't drag you, she will. So they don't come in my inbox like that anymore. But
She
you know,
will.
that comes back to, you know, I guess when you talk about doing that work, because you know, and there was a point in time where I would be like, D, look at this, or D, but now
I'm tired of all
Yep.
and
Just let it
I did.
affect you somehow.
It is. You get to that point where you just become tired.
Yep.
But you know, where I was not
Yep.
able to be physically, you know, I became that person. And so folks know, don't.
Right. Well, I want to catch these comments. I want to start first with okay, thank you, Annette, for joining us. We appreciate you. And we're actually
really
getting ready to
do.
wrap it up anyway, but want to definitely catch Miss Maxwell's comment as well. She said to you, and she is actually almost 63.
Ooh, thank you.
It does not look it because you know,
I love it.
Look it. But she said, you are giving me something to think about to get me closer to getting my knees done. I elected diet, but this might help me to feel better to do surgery. She was like, because her knees and her back hurt so bad daily. Now, this is a young lady that I know personally. And when I tell you, she does everything under the sun to not take prescription medication, you know, for the pain. But there have been times where she has just had no other recourse because she just got to that point. And when I tell you, I admire her strength. Because you know, I have back issues, but mine is because an 18-wheeler hit me. And I ended up, you know, having a pretty serious accident or what have you. So I'm having, even after all these years, I'm having residual effects. But, you know, even with all of that being said, I want to say that watching your journey has inspired me to say, you know what, D, I know, because I had gotten up to, and I'm only 5'4" and 3/4 inches. You know, let my husband tell it I'm 4'3". But I turn around and I watch your journey, and your journey. I think she's frozen. Are you still there, Melissa? Oh boy, did I lose her?
It'll probably come back through.
Yeah, it probably will recalibrate on her end. But either way, you know, there have been times where I have, you know, had to deal with just hit her in the chat. I've had to, she's going to come back. I see it. But I have had to deal with the various issues. I've had to deal with the various issues where, you know, I can't hardly walk. You know, I went through a period before my open heart surgery where they ended up pulling 50 pounds of fluid off of my body within a 48-hour time frame.
Oh my goodness.
So I had gotten to the point where even to walk like maybe a good yard or two, I was stopping. To get in a car, I would have to pick my legs up to put them in the car. Same thing to get out. I'm stopping every 3 to 6 feet because I have to rest, because I have all of this.
Oh my goodness.
And for me, it was water weight because my body was not, you know, discharging it like it should have. But when I look at your journey and the things that you went through to get to where you are now, I want to tell you, you are an inspiration to me. Yes, I still
Thank
have
you.
my back
Thank you.
issues, but sister has gotten her, I got my little back brace, and I'm like, and I'm not able to do my lunges. I'm not able to do a lot of that stuff
Yeah.
as of yet. Because see, I hurt just to stand up in the kitchen to wash it, wash dishes.
Yeah.
The time it takes
Mm.
a coffee pot to make a 12-cup pot of coffee, the pressure on my back is
It's too
my back is
much.
on fire. It's burning. And I know you understand that, even though we have
Yeah.
different medical
Different
situations,
reasons, but
right? So I want to tell you that I appreciate your transparency, and I
thank you,
appreciate
sister.
you sharing your journey, because even though I have not had bariatric bypass, the fact that I see you are able to do that 5K, and I'm like, I can get there
You can get
one day.
there.
I'll be able to
Indeed.
do that 5K. I may only be able to do, one lap around my house right about now, but I'm going to
That's
be
how it
able to do
starts.
that 5K one day. And when
That's
I
right.
do
And
it, I'm going to make it a point to tag you.
please do. Please do. And I'm gonna tell you, like I'll tell anybody, that 5K started with a step.
Mm.
That's what it is. And that's the case with every journey. And so, Miss Carolyn, if you're still watching, like I said, I would never tell anybody to have any kind of surgery. That's such a personal decision. But if I can at least get you to consider something that might make your life a little less painful, to bring you some kind of comfort, then I'm all for it. I would ask that you just do the research. That's it. That's all you can do. Do
Right.
the research, but don't let fear be the reason you don't make one decision or the other. Because we fear is exactly what they say. It's fearing something you don't know. And we blow that up in our head so big. Like, I thought this was going to be the worst journey ever, and it's turned out to be the best thing I ever could have done for myself.
And so
So I
many
just
others.
don't want people. I don't want people to live afraid. Like, that's what it comes down to. I don't want you to live afraid, and I don't want you to live in pain. But sister, when you're ready to do that 5K, please keep in mind, I walk them sometimes. I don't always run them. It starts with a step, and I'm here, and we can do one together. Because now with the pandemic, they're doing them virtually. So I just sign up online and I walk around my apartment complex until I hit the 3.2 miles that makes a 5K. And then I've earned that medal. So you don't have to go sign up at some big race. You don't have to beat any certain time. Sometimes it takes me twice as long as it does normally. So we're going to do that 5K together. That's my goal now, to do one with you.
Okay.
When you're ready. When you're ready. When you're ready.
Kee,
Absolutely.
did you have anything
No, because
else?
my nose trying to run down. My eyes is
Well, I want to say I'm going to allow you the opportunity to um, give whatever closing remarks to our guests, and then we're going to have our outro. And I'm going to ask you, we had kind of talked for a minute, before we got
Absolutely.
started. But I want to start by saying thank you to everyone that joined us. We appreciate each and every one of you, and
always.
we pray and
Absolutely.
hope that something said today will trigger you like it has me, trigger you to love yourself enough to be honest with yourself when
Honest.
it comes down
Yes.
to not just your health, but just how you live your life in
Yeah,
general.
that part.
Because you have to live a life of
Yes.
authenticity in order to be
That
fully
part.
at peace and happy. So I'm going to give the floor to you, Miss Melissa, and let you take us out. And hold on. Miss Carolyn said, yes, thank you for all of your inspiration. And then she said, after doing the diet, I was so close and everything started going backwards.
Mm.
So that's going to lead perfectly into what I wanted to say. First, I want to thank everybody that tuned in. I want to thank you so much, Dee, because to hear somebody call me an inspiration,
Absolutely.
inside I'm still 379. Some days I'm still that big girl, never would have thought anybody would be looking to me for weight loss, anything, inspiration, advice, anything. So that's a huge honor, and it means more to me than I can tell you. And that goes for anybody who's ever followed me, said it, thought it, asked me questions, anything. I appreciate it more than I can tell you. It fuels me. It's what keeps me going on the days I don't feel like it. But the piece of advice I would want to leave every single person who's hearing this right now, who may tune in later to watch it, we deserve to be happy. Yeah. We deserve to be comfortable in our bodies. We deserve to have good health. We deserve to live the life that we dreamed we could live. And a lot of times we are what's stopping us from doing it. And I'm not saying that because, oh, we're the ones eating, gaining weight. No, we're the ones not doing the work to get us to the point where we don't have to eat our feelings. We're the ones afraid of what other people are going to think. We're the ones afraid to take that first step. So I would just say to everybody, I don't care how many times you've tried, try again. You feel like you started going backward, Miss Carolyn? Guess what? Tomorrow you can decide to go forward. It's all in us. It's up to us. But it just takes that step. And every day is a day we can reverse it and go forward. Every day. Like every single day. We have to stop beating ourselves up when we don't do well. We have to stop letting our fears dictate how we're going to behave. And we have to step into owning the life we know we deserve. We have to know it, and then we have to create it. However that is, whether this is weight loss, whether this is a bad relationship, whether this is a job we hate, whatever. I just want to see us all win. That's where I come from. That's my reason for sharing my story. And if it helps anybody even head towards the finish line, then it's been worth it for me. So I thank y'all very much for being the inspiration for me to keep going and sharing the journey. Thank y'all for having me too. It means a lot.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming on here, for sharing your story, for again inspiring us. Because I won't say that she inspired just you, because you know I'm sitting there going, I don't know about this, I don't know about that, but
I'm here if you ever have questions. I'm here.
You've given me a lot of thought. So,
any questions? Yeah, any questions. I'll share anything. And even if it's not the surgery, I'm here. I really am.
Oh, I appreciate that so much.
Well, thank you all again for joining us on this thing called life. Yes, and we appreciate you, and we're thankful for you. And we will see you all next week on Tuesday. Probably it'll be a double header
next week.
We've got a very, very special segment coming up next Friday.
Yes.
At 6 p.m. We're going to release Tuesday's guests soon, but next Friday we're going to be talking with some amazing people, and we're going to talk about Black educators in a white education system.
So yeah, we need that conversation.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So it's going to be a very enlightening dialogue, and it'll probably, just to be honest with you, that'll probably end up being a 2-hour segment for us because of the in-depth nature of that particular topic.
Right.
So we don't want to just gloss over it and call it a day. So we'll probably end up having a 2-hour segment, but you will see the upcoming promo. That'll be next Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And, and then we'll also release next week's guest really, really soon. So we thank you all, and we will talk to you all soon again on this thing called life.
Life.
Take care.